my child studying English here in Madrid? This is a question I'm often asked, and the answer is yes. But there's always a but, right? It's not always the same. Some schools are bilingual, some schools are not bilingual, some schools are international, truly international, and some say they're international, but they're actually not international. Let me explain a little bit more in this video. I'm Sinéad, founder of Steps into Spain, and having guided hundreds of families through the different school options here in Madrid, language is a common concern between families. Some families want English-speaking schools, some families want Spanish-speaking schools, and some families want bilingual options for their children. Each family is different, but let's see if I can help you understand the English-speaking school options here in Madrid. So, the three main school routes or types of schools that a family could choose. They could choose a public, which is a state school, a concertado, which is the private school that's subsidized by the state, and these tend to be bilingual schools. So a family could choose these schools for their children. Is this an English-speaking school? No. Are there English-only speaking schools in a public or a concertado school? No. What these schools offer is a bilingual program, and by that bilingual program, what is meant is that 30% of the curriculum is taught in English by Spanish teachers, but you will not find a 100% English-speaking school in the public or concertado school system. The benefits of these schools for a family moving to Spain is that your child will have some subjects, will have some exposure to English. There are no fees besides lunch fees, and it's a great way to meet the other families in your neighborhood, to kind of settle in and get to know everybody else. The downside is that it is not an English-speaking school. The level of English varies quite a lot by the school, and it's not even just as simple as between the public or the concertado. It's in between those schools as well. Some schools, the level of English is better than others. Another downside is that your child's class teacher does not necessarily have to speak English. They might be teaching the Spanish subjects. So as a family, if you do not speak Spanish and your child's teacher does not speak English, then you should definitely bring somebody with you, a translator, to help you with those class meetings. And of course, you all need to learn Spanish as soon as possible. And it is a good way to learn Spanish. It's a great way to learn Spanish, to be fair. And now, a private bilingual school. These offer a little bit more hours in English. What they tend to be is 50-50. So 50% of the curriculum is taught in Spanish and 50% of the curriculum is taught in English. Again, in most private bilingual schools, the English subjects will be taught by a Spanish teacher or a Spanish speaking. They're not necessarily native English speaking teachers. A lot of these schools will offer support for children who do not speak Spanish. Okay? But this is a lot easier in primary, infants and primary. When children enter secondary, which is from primero de la ESO upwards, which is from 7th grade upwards, it's a lot trickier for children who do not speak Spanish. And especially if we're coming up to 9th or 10th grade, it is a big challenge. And not all schools will accept a non-Spanish speaking child at that grade, at that level. So these schools will offer more hours in English, but not necessarily by a native English-speaking teacher. Again, a bonus of these schools is they do offer support, not all, and this is where you need to speak to somebody like me, for example, or other families and get the insights of the school, because what tends to happen, and I've seen this time and time again, a school overpromises. They overpromise on the hours of English or they overpromise on the hours of Spanish, and 1 or 2 months into the school year, it's all falling apart and it's a disaster for the family. So really get this right from the very beginning before choosing that school. What support is going to be offered to your child? International schools. This can be a British school, it could be an American school, or it could be an IB school. What makes it international? It means that it will teach every single subject in English. I'm talking about specifically English-speaking schools in this video. They teach subjects in English. The curriculum will be the American curriculum, British curriculum, or IB, all the way through. It's not going to switch back to the Spanish curriculum. These schools are international every single way. The teaching language is English. The teachers will all be native English speaking teachers, or the majority will be. Assessments, all the subjects, every single thing that they're doing is international. A good way to look at this, or to understand if a school is truly international, firstly look at their fees, because their fees are the highest of all of the schools, and look at the curriculum. Is it the international curriculum, and does it follow this all the way through? And that's how you know that's the international school. These schools are expensive, without a doubt, and will all have admissions tests. The sooner that you speak to the school, and if you like the school, then visit the school, complete the admissions test, the better, because some of these schools will work with a waiting list. Not all, but some will, and sometimes the places can be limited, and sometimes you will just do the admissions test just to get on their wait list. The advantages of these schools, these are great schools. These really suit families who will probably might just be in Spain for a year or two, and then they know their next assignment is coming up and they're going to move again in another 2 years' time, and it makes their child's school life a lot more consistent. They're not constantly starting anew. Also for older kids, say kids that are coming to 9th, 10th, 11th, the 11th grade, 9th and 10th, 8th, 9th and 10th grade that do not speak Spanish, it's a huge challenge for a child to go into the Spanish system when they're that age. And that's when families really do appreciate the international school system. It makes it easier for their child, and it's not putting perhaps unnecessary barriers in their education pathway. So which option will best suit your family? Again, this will depend on what it is that your family are looking for. If your family are looking for a Spanish immersion, but there's also somebody perhaps on hand that they will have some English, or they will be able to communicate, and then I would say go with the bilingual public and concertado school. If you want your child to get additional language support, again, like I've said, this does not happen in all of the schools, then perhaps the bilingual private school would be a better option. That offers more hours of English compared to the public and concertado school. Then if you want your child to be all in English, that they were to study in English, that everything is to be taught in an international school, then the international school option would be the best fit for your family. If your child struggles with memorization, if they need something that's more active learning, then unfortunately a lot of the Spanish schools might not fit your child, might not be the right option. They tend to lean more towards memorization, and more so even when our children get older in secondary school, and then when we get to the baccalaureate level. If SEN support is needed, this really varies. In my experience, quite often the public school system offers more support for children with special educational needs. But if your child needs English special educational needs support, then it would have to be an international school. They will not get this in the public or concertado or even the private bilingual schools. So, common misconceptions that I hear that makes me go vroom. Number 1, bilingual means 50-50. It does not. It does for some schools, it doesn't for other schools. So what you really need to do is, when speaking to the school, you really need to ask, what are the subjects that are being taught in English and what are the subjects that are being taught in Spanish? Number 2, the bilingual program is better in concertado schools compared to public schools. That is not true. The bilingual program in both of these schools is the exact same. There is no difference whatsoever. Number 3, international school is better. I mean, to be fair, you're paying a lot of fees at the international school, so the level of English should be very good. It should be the best because you're paying for that. Kids are sponges. They'll pick up Spanish in a couple of weeks. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't. And that's not the end of the world either. But let's manage expectations. A child at 6 years of age compared to a child at 14 years of age is in a very, very different stages. It's a lot more difficult for an older child to just slot into a Spanish school, a Spanish curriculum with very little Spanish. So be realistic. Think about what it is that's going to work out best for your child in the Spanish school system. And really, in any of the school options, additional Spanish language support outside of school would be needed. Practical advice when it comes to choosing the right school. If possible, visit the school. And if you cannot, because of logistics, you cannot visit the school, well then speak to somebody who has visited the school, okay? And get their insights. What were their feelings about that particular school? If English language is what is most important for you as a family, ask who are the teachers that will be teaching these English language subjects. Are they native English speakers? Have they been trained with that specific curriculum? Ask a lot of questions. The school should answer these questions. And if there's any issue with the school answering these questions, then maybe it's not the right school. If your family is looking for an English curriculum, then they will not find that in a Spanish school, okay? That's all there is. There isn't really anything else to add to that. Before falling in love with the international school of perhaps your dreams, check first availability. Are there places available for your child? And then a very important piece is costs. Are all of the costs reflected on the website? Check with the school, because sometimes schools have something like a capital fee that a family will pay as a once-off when their child joins. Sometimes there's the enrollment fee, registration fee. There are a lot of fees. Check that you can budget these costs. So language is one piece of the puzzle, but it's not the piece. If you want tailored advice on finding the school that is the right fit for your child, get in contact with Steps into Spain, because that's exactly what we do.